All right, guys, so for your extra credit opportunity, I'm going to go through circles in a coordinate plane with you. We're going to learn how to write equations for circles. Once we do that, then you're going to have a worksheet you can work through just to kind of get you up to par on writing equations of a circle. And then once you've done the um, worksheet, I'm going to have an art project that you can do. There's a rubric um, linked on the page that you can take a look at so you'll know what you need to do. There are 3 examples of the art project, and then there is a printable piece of graph paper because you're going to need to use a piece of graph paper to do the assignment. So let's go ahead and get started here. So the equation of a circle that is centered at the origin. So remember, the origin is the center of our coordinate plane. So the coordinates at the origin are 0, 0. So if our circle is centered on the origin, meaning the origin is the center of the circle, then the equation of the circle is x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And r here is the radius of the circle. So x squared plus y squared equals the radius squared is the equation of a circle centered at the origin. Okay. So if I want to write an equation for the circle that is centered at 0, 0 and has a radius of 5, I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the formula from the previous page. That would just be x squared plus y squared equals the radius squared, so 5 squared. So the equation of this circle would be x squared plus y squared equals 25. Okay. If the circle is centered at 0, 0 and has a radius of 9, the equation would just be x squared plus y squared equals 9 squared, or x squared plus y squared equals 81. Now I know that I could just draw a sketch of this picture. I know it's centered at 0, 0, so that's the center of the circle. I know the radius is 5. So on each side, it's going to come out to 5. So if I just kind of sketch my circle there with a radius of 5, that would be the sketch. I could do the same thing for 9. I would just have to go out 9 on each side instead of 5. Okay. Okay. This circle is not centered at the origin. The center of this circle is somewhere in here, right? So let's look at what the equation looks like here. Maybe. So we call the center HK. So that means the x value of this point is h and the y value is k. And the equation looks like this. X minus h. So notice h is positive here, but the equation has a minus here, okay? Which means since this center right here is a positive x, it is going to say x minus whatever value it's moved to the right. The y value here is negative, right? It's gone down here on the y-axis, so this would be a negative k. So if I put in a negative k here, it's going to end up positive, right? So these, since the minuses are part of the standard equation, that means whatever h and k actually are, the sign of them, when I put them into the equation, they're going to change to the opposite. So x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So if my center is at 2, 5, and my radius is at 2, okay, that means h is equal to 2 and k is equal to 5. Remember the equation said x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So in this example, it would be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 2 squared. Okay, I could write that as 4, that would be fine, but that would be the equation of that circle. Okay, if my center is at 7, negative 3, and my radius is the square root of 19, remember this is h, and this is k, and this is r. So this would be x minus 7 squared plus y minus negative 3, right, which would become plus 3 squared equals the square root of 19 squared. Okay, square root and square cancel one another out. So this would just be equal to 19. Okay. So if I wanted to draw a picture, let's do the top one because our radius is small here. I know that the center is at 2, 5. So there's the center, and then the radius goes 2 units out from center on every side. So 1, 2, this would be like this. It would have a radius of 2. Okay. We can get this to advance. Okay, we want to write the equation for this circle. This circle is not telling us the center and radius, but we can look at the graph and tell those things. So I can see that the center is at 2, -5. So let's just write that down. The center is at 2, -5. And the radius, I can see by counting from the center to the edge, is 1, 2, 3 units. So the radius is 3. And so now I can use those to write the equations. This would be x minus 2 squared plus y minus -5, which would become y plus 5 squared equals the radius squared, which would be 3 squared. So again, I can write that as 9 or 3 squared. They're both correct. It's just two different ways to write the same thing, right? Okay, let's try another example. So this one is centered at 0, 0, which means I won't have the minus h and minus k, right? In fact, I haven't even made the parenthesis. It would just be x squared plus y squared equals our radius squared. And our radius is 1, 2, 3. Our radius is 4. So x squared plus y squared equals 16. All right, now we're going back the other way. We're given the equation and we need to find the center and the radius. So because this just says x squared and y squared, there's no minus h and minus k, then I know that the center is at 0, 0. I know that the radius is going to be, since this is equal to the radius squared, I'm going to have to undo the squared, so I know that the radius is going to be the square root of 71. Now, if this were a perfect square, I'd probably just write the radius as that number, but since it's not a perfect square, I'm going to leave it as square root of 71. Now I've written all over it, but I can see here that h is equal to 4 and k is equal to -5, right? This would have been y minus -5 to get that plus in there. So the center is at 4, -5. The radius is going to be the square root of 49, which is equal to 7. Okay, so on the worksheet, there's going to be a couple of questions that we didn't learn. So I'm going to just tell you that you don't have to do 13 through 16. You can just cross those off. And then just once you finish the worksheet, check the key, make sure you did them correctly, and then go ahead and try the art project. The art project will be worth a little more than the worksheet. All right, guys, have a great one.